Good morning. It is a balmy 32 degrees out today. The weather index thingy says it feels like 24. I always wondered how it can feel like 24, how they know like what it feels like. I know sometimes certain temperatures feel colder than others. I thought it had something to do with the moisture in the air or the wind or something, but who knows? Who knows? Had a lovely and spirited little debate with First Amendment tests last night. Pound Sand seems to have taken down all of his content, so you can't see it there. I don't know what's going on with him. I did have quite a bit of bourbon last night. Enough that I was worried that I may have a hangover this morning. Thankfully, I do not. So that's always good. I was a little disappointed that the discussion seemed somewhat myopic and First Amendment test felt more comfortable asking me my position first. That didn't, I never really liked that, because if you're going to debate someone and they want to know your position first, then they always have the option of simply agreeing with your position. And generally speaking, he agreed with my positions. We probably agree with each other even on the one position that was somewhat more hotly debated, which was abortion. But I was actually trying to talk to him about states' rights, and he just couldn't seem to go there with me. So yeah, I definitely don't like giving my personal opinion first. I much more prefer just opposing the position that the other side brings up if I have anything at all resembling a potential argument for it. And luckily in politics, there are typically arguments available for both sides. Logical, rational arguments that both sides will always ignore the other side making. And thus I take a great deal of pleasure in pointing out those logical, rational arguments and trying to get the other side to actually address them. It's my form of entertainment. I am a big fan of states' rights, though. On most issues, I don't understand why you can't just leave it to a state to determine. And that way, if the people of that particular state don't like it or want it, they can reject it. If they do like it or want it, they can embrace it. And if you don't like it, you can always go to a state that reflects your particular ideals. Like if you want to have all the guns all the time, you can go to a state that has all the guns all the time. If you want to have abortion on demand, you can go to a state that has abortion on demand. I don't particularly see why we need the federal government. It's a different amalgamation of people. There's, in a state, you have fewer people. You can control more specifically what's going on. You can allocate the money better on a state level than they can on a federal level. You can target things a little bit better. I also find it really interesting the slow slide into more and more federal control over everything. I'm sure it was going on before the Civil War, but after the Civil War, the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments were passed. The 13th Amendment is the first amendment that ever directly impacted a person. A person could violate your 13th Amendment right. That was a big departure. A big departure from what had happened in the past. The Constitution didn't give the federal government a lot of power over individuals. It gave the federal government enough power to get the states working together-ish. Kind of broke down for the Civil War, but you understand what I'm saying. That's what it was designed to do. And then after the Civil War, you also had, those are when the 18 USC 241, 18 USC 242, 1983 lawsuits, 1985 lawsuits. They weren't those particular numbers back then, but that's when they came into play, and they were based off of the 14th Amendment. And then I think it was Fillikin. I want to say it was Fillikin. It was the grain case that greatly expanded what interstate commerce is, allowing the government, the federal government, to control more and more and more things under the auspices of the Interstate Commerce Clause. And then by taxing the crap out of everybody and offering that money back like little carrots, they found that they could incentivize states to do what the federal government wanted. If the federal government wants school lunches to have a certain amount of vegetables in them, they can offer an incentive. We'll give the states money, this much per child per day, if you give them this many vegetables. And of course, because it's a bureaucracy, because they're retarded, because the federal government isn't dealing with their children, they're dealing with your children, all of a sudden pizza's a vegetable. The bigger a particular entity is, the more unwieldy it is. The more redundancy gets built into it. The bigger the budget, the less people care about a few zeros on the end of things. If your budget is $600 billion, are you going to really care if you buy a $600 hammer? Do you really care? No, it's nothing. That's going to get lost in the mix. Who cares? But if your budget is $600, you're going to find a less expensive hammer. Anyway, that's the bulk of my pitch on states' rights. I think we've moved a long way away from the intent. Not that we're not allowed to move away from the intent of the Founding Fathers. We're not straitjacketed by them by any stretch of the imagination. But it would be nice. It would be nice if we did give the states some more power back. And by, say, giving them more power back, I mean taking it from the federal government and restoring it to the states. I mean, does the federal government really need to control drugs? Do they really need to? Why can't the state do that? Why can't a state determine for itself what drugs should be legal, what drugs should be illegal? Why can't the state determine for itself what firearms should be legal, what firearms shouldn't be legal? What industries should be allowed, what industries shouldn't be allowed? Anyway. So I do like politics. I don't know if I got the right audience for politics, but I'm always up for a debate on just about anything. So if anybody else wants to debate, And you know where to find me. 4 p.m. Sunday, Pacific time. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.